Juicy in the morning, juicy in the day, juicy for the most part. Looks like it's here to stay. Juicy, like some fruit, see? Juicy, it's so juicy, oh so juicy, it's juicy, very juicy, juicy.
Oh, hear ye these simpering verses of suburban sensibility, this vile creature, a perverted poet peppering the page with poisonous intent and a fey wave of the wrist, as if tossing off yet another sordid poem like it means nothing, this loathsome lurker in life's margins. My name is Robert Garnham, and welcome to Juicy. Yes, hello, welcome to Juicy. This is a production with the Guildford Fringe Theatre Company, and it is a pay what you like production. So pop something in, that would be great. It really will keep us all going. Yes, my name is Robert Garnham, Professor of Whimsy. Professor of Whimsy, Professor of Whimsy. I say Professor, you say Whimsy. Professor, Professor. Professor. Yes, my name, as I say, is Robert Garnham, and this first poem is called Poem. I have probed the depths of literature, but my friend Mark remembers only the one poem I ever wrote, the one called Plop, and it goes something like this. Plop. Plop, plop. At nights I reach in and thrust my hand deep into the fiery furnace of metaphor, and I grab the human condition, and I throttle it, and I squeeze the truth out of it, and I tear the words from the sky. I am king of ink, monarch of the pen, my nib moving faster and faster as my fingers grip the shaft of the biro, spilling onto the page beauteous visions, truth, honesty, existential angst, and what it means to be alive. And yet, Mark's favourite poem of mine is Plop, Plop, Plop. Thank you very much. And you're probably wondering there, and you were quite right to wonder, why is he going like this? Well, what it is, Mark is a friend of mine. He comes round to my flat here, and he sits in my armchair like this. And I say to him, why do you always sit in my armchair like this? And he said, ever since I went bald, I miss having a fringe. So anyway, when I was thinking about this next poem, when I was writing it, I was thinking about superheroes and what kind of powers I'd have if I was a superhero. And the only way I can see there's just two things I'm really good at. Number one, I can always tell when the vacuum cleaner bag's getting full. Number two, I can always spot somebody with a beard. Beards make me really envious, and that's what this poem is all about. It's called Poem. I've always wanted a beard, just never had the time to grow one. Whenever I see them, I get this strange feeling inside of deep inadequacy. I want a beard just like Jonathan's got. I like the cut of his jib. Beardy, beardy man, how lucky he is. Chinny chin chin keeps tickling while kissing. Probably. I went to the barber and I said, "Give me a beard, good man, and make it a big bushy one, like I'm an old grizzled trawlerman. Here's a Pritt stick, now sweep up the floor and stick it on my chin, there's a good fellow." It fell off when I was halfway round Lidl's. Last night I sat in envy at the annual beard competition. It was won by a geography teacher whose beard looked like two ferret-shaped sideburns mating, while a badger-shaped moustache hid in the rhododendrons and took photos. I saw a man in the pub with a beard, and his friend had a beard, and his wife had a beard, and the barman had a beard, and the barman said through his beard, "What would you like?" And I said, "A beard." And the barman said I was weird. So I had an apple and raspberry J2O. I'd hate to see a goat. I hate the way they gloat with their nanny goat, billy goat, beard, beard, unwarranted goatee, goatee, sprout, sprout, stroke it, big boy. I went to the circus and I saw a beard tamer cracking his whip. Beard tamer cracking his whip. Beard tamer, pass me a razor. Stay there, cutting them down into very, very, very long sideburns. If I had a beard, I'd dip the end in chocolate sauce and draw crazy patterns on your smooth, bare chest, whispering, "Growl for me, growl for your lover man, growl like a tiger, you sexed-up beast of a man," which would probably startle the other people on the bus. If I had a beard, it would have to be bioengineered. Fuzzy, fuzzy, chin scratch, scrunch up, feel it. Go on, put your hand here and feel it. Thank you. So that was called Poem, and fun enough, so is this one. Hasn't got a title yet. I wish I had a cow, I would pat it on the head. It would sleep at night in a barn wrapped up in its bed. I wish I had a cow, I'd take photos so I had proof. I'd write for it bad poetry, improvised, on the hoof. I wish I had a cow, I'd tell everyone about it. I'd go on and 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 on. Want to go on for too long. I wouldn't want to milk it. Thank you. Hot, hot surfer dude dancing on the wave. Hot, hot surfer dude, you live a life I crave. Hot, hot surfer dude, you are so very brave. Hot, hot surfer dude, watch out for that walrus. Hot, hot surfer dude, I'd invite you back to my beachfront surf shack, but you'd probably drip all over the floor. Thank you. Your eyes look like they're made of slugs. Yes, they are. Your ears are like two piles of sick. Yes, they are. Your breath's as rank as a devil's fart. Your face looks like a big slapped arse. Why the hell did I fancy you? And that was called Toby. So 3 short poems there. So I thought I'd do a long one for you now. Danny's always pausing. You talk to him and he pauses. It's like he's really unsure. Ask him a question and he'll answer. But halfway through the answer he pauses. He stops what he's doing, considers every angle, ponders, prevaricates, and then he pauses. Go for it. I once said. He did, but it took a while. What with all the pauses. It's why he never gets good seats on the underground. He pauses. I asked him once, "What's your favourite animal?" "Tigers," he said. "What is it you like about them?" "Is it their ears?" I asked. "Is it their tail? Is it their whiskers?" "No," he said, "it's their..." Okay, so you've probably seen how that one ends. So, this next poem, I don't know if you've ever gone into a cafe or a coffee shop and asked for tea, and they said, "What kind of tea?" And you say, "Oh, just a normal tea." And they say, "Do you mean English breakfast tea?" And you say, "Is that a normal tea?" And they say, "Yes." And then they go behind them where they've got all these different blends of tea and all these fiddly little drawers, but the English breakfast tea is kept in a big box because that's the one that everyone wants. And if that's the case, then why don't they just call it tea? Anyway, just for you, Guildford, this is my tea wrap. I'm rapping with my tray and I'm gonna move your way. This is what I have to say, because what I need today is a cup of Earl Grey, and that would be most pleasant. You know what is new? It's the things that I do. I spit my rhymes so hard and they're coming at you. I hang out with my crew and my homies too. I say, "Hey lads, would you care for a brew? One lump or two? I'll be mother, shall I? I'm a funky mother cuppa lover, got a cuppa with my supper, but my plans you cannot scupper. Put no milk in, watch me splutter. I'm the bread and you're the butter. Got a scone too, add it to my song. Gonna make it disappear. Scone. Yo, sup, pass me your cup. If you wanna have a coffee, then I guess you're out of luck. Got a caddy, who's the daddy with his caddy. Got a teapot, got a cosy, got a decaf, makes me dozy. And I prefer the milking first, if you really must be nosy. 'Cause I'm wild and I'm free, and it's brewing, you see. 'Cause seriously, this is all about tea. This is all about tea. This is all about tea. Thank you. Well, what do you think of this, say? Isn't it lovely? Isn't it beautiful? Or as they say in France, très bon. So anyway, Dad also used to have a little tea-based joke of his own, and it used to go exactly like this. My dad would lift the teapot high and pour a thin trickle of tea into the cup far below. "High tea," he'd say, and we'd all roar with laughter. Perfect equidistance, holding the strainer dexterously so that it captured mini clods of tea leaf in its dented wire mesh. "High tea," he'd say, and we'd all roar with laughter. So he'd experiment, stand on a chair, on a footstool, on a step ladder, anything to gain the necessary elevation. "High tea," he'd say, and we'd all roar with laughter. One day, a passing ice cream van backfired, yet not a flinch did we see, his perfect aim assuring that the tea ended up just in the cup. And the next day, he hired a 40-foot ladder, and he climbed to the very top. "High tea," he'd say, and we'd all roar with laughter. And the next day, he hired a hot air balloon, piloted by a chap with an exuberant moustache, and he climbed in the basket, and the hot air balloon went up and up and up until it was just a speck in the sky. And just as he was about to repeat his usual joke with the teapot, a sudden gust of wind blew the hot air balloon away over the horizon, and we never saw him again. "I never did like that teapot anyway," my mum said. "And since then, we've always used tea bags." Thank you. I kind of fell away from the person I used to be. The promise of the kid with the sun in their eyes and a burning passion for more than just the immediate. Neat handwriting can seldom claim full honesty. Old diaries attest to a forthright world, yet beneath the surface, a chaos very clearly of our own invention. The syntax of an emptiness writ so plain with its own substance. 10,000 truths cannot smother one lie. The bonhomie of the brave is a fabrication nonetheless. Any fool can laugh at the same old retelling, but its grammar is perfect and its intention is clear. I've walked so many footsteps in so many directions. I've traced the lineage of pain right back to the start. I've seen what happens to those who refuse momentum, and I've tinkered with the workings of my heart. There's no fear in the present moment, and the future can never be as daunting as the past. This old diary with its meanness and its lying speaks only of years, and it won't be the last. But I will fight when the air is far above, and I believe in the solid goodness of every soul, and I will applaud those who defeat whatever demons deem to mark each page with untrue thoughts, and I'll cheer when fortune scores a goal. Old diaries attest to a forthright mind, yet beneath each line there are knowing winks written to my future self. Thank you. There's a badger in the garden and he thinks he's on EastEnders. There's a badger in the garden and he thinks he's on EastEnders, having arguments with other badgers, arguments with family members, arguments and arguments. He thinks he's on EastEnders. Hey there, badger. Oh, what's going on? Hey there, badger. Whatever's wrong? Hey there, badger. Are you filled with ennui or angst about life in the postmodern world? Or do you think you're on EastEnders? There's a badger in the garden and he thinks he's on EastEnders. There's a badger in the garden and he thinks he's on EastEnders. And I said, shoo, Mr. Badger, shoo and go away. Shoo, Mr. Badger, shoo and go away. And the badger said, you having a laugh or something? What's it all about? Thank you. So, like a lot of people, I'd really like to represent Britain at the Eurovision Song Contest. I do have a little song, got some words, got the melody, haven't got any music on it or anyone to help me with it, but I'll tell you what, as a little treat, I'm going to do it for you now. Hasn't got a title yet, it's just called Poem. I want to live in a little house somewhere in the park. I'd have to light lots of candles whenever it gets dark. I'd buy myself a little dog just to hear it bark. Woof woof. I'd invent new grammar and a punctuation mark. Tiddly-om, pom, pom, tiddly-om, pom, pom. And as the winter splinters in, I'd have to light the fire. I collect lots of ornaments and things that I admire. I know it's not the sort of life to which you might aspire. It would be just like a church except without the spire or a monotheistic deity. Tiddly-om, pom, pom, tiddly-om, pom, pom. And I would write such poetry, making sure it rhymed. And I would use a stopwatch just to check its pace. It would be a fantasy away from the daily grind. I'd have to cuddle the handyman, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. Tiddly-om, pom, pom, tiddly-om, pom, pom. And did I mention the handyman? We cuddle up in bed. Such a randy handyman, I'd keep him in the shed. And every time I was up for it, oh Fred, I call, oh Fred. Although his name was actually Sean, at least he gives good. Tiddly-om, pom, pom, tiddly-om, pom, pom. It doesn't matter what we do, our lives are meaningless. Now for crushing oblivion and eternal hopelessness, and never-ending loneliness and doubt and angst and hatred, and the eternal dichotomy between selfhood and the final and crushing truth that nobody has ever cared for you. Just tiddly-om, pom, pom, tiddly-om, pom, pom. Well, thank you very much. That was Poem. I hope you like that. This one is also called Poem. To be honest, I come up with the titles first and then the poems just seem to write themselves. If I could have just one wish, I'd like to be a jellyfish, hanging in the water, stinging those who really ought to know not to swim near me. Jellyfish, 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 jellyfish. If I could be a sushi dish, I think I'd be some jellyfish, drizzled lightly with balsamic, tastes so good it's orgiastic. Jellyfish, 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 jellyfish. My friend Pete, who says things and leaves gaps of 23.5 seconds, said to me, Robert, you flobble and you wobble as you come down the stairs. You look just like a... Jellyfish, 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 jellyfish. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm having lots of fun here, but I must admit, I do get incredibly nervous before I perform. In fact, I usually can't sleep the night before a performance. I do suffer really badly with insomnia. Insomnia is a terrible thing, but on the plus side, only 3 more sleeps till Christmas. So what I do when I can't sleep, I write myself little poems and I attach them to like crisp packets, peanut packets, and I hide them in my pockets as a little treat for me the next day. And oh, here's one now. It's called Poem. He said, You have no sense of perspective. I said, come over here and say that. He said, I'm standing right in front of you. Okay, yes, so when I was thinking about this gig, I was thinking about other disasters. And, you know, if there's one thing I'd really like to do, it's build a time machine, go back in the past to the Titanic disaster and save us all from the hideous tragedy of having to watch that film. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the film, but there's a bit at the beginning where they're saying, oh, this boat is unsinkable and things like that. This boat will never sink. I'm not going to give it away or spoil it or give you any spoilers, but I just take that with a pinch of salt. So this poem here, just called Poem. You know, when the Titanic finally started to go under, I was in the loo at the time. I thought something was amiss when I pulled the flush and a squid plopped out. I shouted to the missus, there's a squid in here. Then I remembered that I wasn't married. Someone yelled, it's time to evacuate. I said, I just have. Oh, Leo, come and save me. I'd seen him and his girlfriend at the front of the ship doing that arms wide thing. I tried to do the same thing later on with the love of my life. But then a seagull swooped down and stole my hamburger. Oily seamen down in the boiler room. Oily seamen down in the boiler room. Excuse me, lads, who do I complain to about not getting enough ice to make a martini? I inquired, ironically, just as we hit the iceberg. I popped my head in the control room door. Hey, Captain Smith, what the hell was all that about? He said, I thought it would swerve first. I've had better days. To be honest, I'm out of my depth and it's making me sick. I suppose I shall have to go down with this ship. I said, let me know how that turns out. You see, an expert in shipping design said, its vast metal hull is held together by giant bolts. Wow, I said, that's riveting. I saw the head cook punching hell out of a lettuce. That's why I didn't overtly worry when I heard we'd struck an iceberg. Just a glancing blow, Mrs. Henderson, just a glancing blow. And the band played on, and on, and on. A life on the ocean waves, Handel's water music. Hey you kids, hey you cool cats, do you know Beats International's Dub Be Good to Me? Tankfly, Boswalk, Jam, Nitty Gritty, you're listening to the sound from the big bad city. This is Jam Hot. This is Jam Hot. They said no, they hadn't heard of that one. Bulkheads filling with water, compartments filling with water, storage decks and engine rooms, the whole thing filling with water. The whole ship started to tilt, which completely buggered up the game of snooker I was playing. For God's sake, I said, as if the day couldn't get any worse. All the balls went into the bottom left. I knew something was going on because my opponent was a narwhal, using his long nose tusk as a snooker cue. Thank you very much. That was called Poem. And this is a fairly new one. It's called Nathan Went for a Walk in the Rain. Nathan went for a walk in the rain. Felt the cold drops sting thrown by the wind like thoughts flung at him. Often he felt he could disappear, given the chance. Less than a ghost scared of its own haunting. Often life really was too daunting. Hands thrust in pockets. He would stand under the limbs of a tree whose skeletal branches silhouetted against an overcast battleship sky. Seemed to him the jagged black lightning of negative storms, moments of joy nullified, time turned inside out. One day this tree would fall and rot. Not even a memory. Custodians of masculinity leer in with jeering grins, outstretched claws soured with the blood of souls too weak to join the cultural dance, maps marked not with roots but the chaos of headstrong toxicity, the violence of difference, for straying would be a calamity, and only a fool would sheer from the path and be rightly and soundly mocked. Nathan went for a walk in the rain. It's hard to explain the indefinable. It's easier to be a man and stamp down emotion, to be one of the lads and aspire to such. Show no fear, stick two fingers up at pain. Don't be weak, don't be spineless, and don't talk. Don't talk. And if someone does talk, then don't listen. Change the subject. For God's sake, don't admit that you're lonely. What kind of man does that? Nathan went for a walk in the rain. Watched the puddles circle with heavy drops falling like abandoned ideas or dragons' tears. Just a walk. Nothing to explain. No one to talk to. And no one to listen if he needed to talk. And anyway, what could he explain? Nathan went for a walk in the rain. Thank you. A tinsel-littered terminus on the greyest grey of days, a gleaming marble concourse under smoke machine haze. Excitement lifts in tight t-shirts, dressing to impress. A train's due in at platform 6, it is the Queer Express. This chuffing, puffing, mother huffing, pumping disco train, gently swaying, high-heeled sashaying, otherwise quite tame. Lip-sync boas, something of a goer, power ballad queens, leather-clad sexy dad, this transport of my dreams. Everyone is welcome as it thunders down the track. A destiny that's shining bright, the rhythm of the clickety-clack. Clones and drones feel so at home, and big butch bears too. Take a seat on the Queer Express, carriages L, G, B, T and Q. Our history is one of pride and those who dare to stand and fight the law and rise above, let's shake them by the hand. And now there is sweet freedom sung amid the pumping beat. The rainbow flag flies proud for you, hop aboard and take your seat. This sequin rocket, this tinsel train, there is no quiet zone. The ultimate community where no one feels alone. I climbed aboard 20 years ago, never again felt like a loner. A sexy hunk in the opposite bunk is giving me a reason to be there. This all-embracing, heart-racing diesel engine chuffer. This laser choo-choo homo loco never will hit the buffer. It's thundering and building speed and passing through the night for souls in need who feel indeed that now the time is right. There'll be moaners, haters, zealous types and those who don't agree. This train is there for everyone and that's what makes us free. The point of life is that we live up to our history. And if you can't be what they want, you might as well just be. The Queer Express is seen by some to be an urban myth. Stand by the tracks on a foggy night and see its glow in the mist. This train exists in every soul who's felt the world askance. Hop aboard the Queer Express and join this blissful dance. Everybody, welcome aboard. Thank you. So what I'm going to do now is a 20-minute poem of mine, which is called Mr. Juicy. It's where the show gets its name from, and of course, as I said before, this is part of the Guildford Fringe Festival and it is a pay what you like production, and I hope you like this. This is called Mr. Juicy.
British Falcon Flight 7633 to Norwich, now boarding at Gate 6B. This is the first call for British Falcon Flight 7633 to Norwich, now boarding at Gate 6B. Thank you. Could Mr. Mozzarella, travelling with Air Italy to the Po Valley, please make himself known to a representative of his airline? Thank you. Cox Sparrows Airlines, Flight 133 to Exeter, now boarding at Gate 6A. This is the first call for Cox Sparrows Airlines, Flight 133 to Exeter, now boarding at Gate 6A. Thank you.
I called him Mr. Juicy. We met at the gate of an airport departure lounge. He was flying to Norwich. I was flying to Exeter. The two of us were delayed because a fuel transporter had broken down diagonally across Gate 6A and 6B. Nobody could move it. The two of us, me and Mr. Juicy, we stared out the terminal plate glass window. He asked if I had a dry wipe marker. Why? So I can go in the toilets, he said. Add my initials to the hourly hygiene checklist, you know, just for a laugh. No sign of any movement on the apron. Men in high-vis jackets stand around, dumbfounded. Me and Mr. Juicy, all grins. He sits across two soft-cushioned seats. He watches as I stare at the floor. What are you doing? He asks. I'm looking at a small dot, part of the fleck effect of the tiled floor, concentrating on this insignificant dot. Soon I'll be hundreds of miles away, and the chance of seeing this tiny dot again will be very small indeed. You're weird, he said, but I like you. And I liked him. You know what it's like. Heavenly dreams and bright, bright lights and angels singing so resplendent in rapturous ecstasy. That's me. Gate 6B, Manchester Airport, Terminal 3. So stunning was he that I quite forgot that I needed a wee. What right of you to be so cute? If you're the thief, my heart's the loot. You grabbed it out from inside me right here, right now at Terminal 3. And I was here just minding mine and thinking I was doing fine when you wrecked my day, you know, and all because I find you so very cute and visually the sort of man who appeals to me, and now you go and shatter me with your masculinity. I find it hard to understand that I should fall for every man. You do it to me purposely, and that just makes it worse, you see. To sit right here and contemplate on how to ask you on a date, the subtle blend of dream and fate, right here, right now at the terminal gate. I think that I've just lost my mind. I think that I've just lost my mind. I think that I've just lost my mind. I think that I've just lost my boarding card. No, wait, it's in my pocket.
We apologise for the slight delay to flights British Falcon 7633 to Norwich and Cox Sparrows International Flight 133 to Exeter, currently awaiting boarding at Gate 6A and 6B. This is due to operational difficulties.
The driver of the stranded fuel transporter hops down from his cab, lands awkwardly and sprains his ankle.
Could passenger Mr. Mozzarella please make himself known to the Air Italy information desk, located in the main terminal building, next to the Wetherspoons pub?
I tried to not look over at Mr. Juicy too much. I didn't want him to think that I fancied him. But then I wanted him to know that I fancied him. Open, pleasant face and long, long legs. See them draped over the chair next to him. Body-hugging white T-shirt, purposefully unkempt hair, the faint trace of stubble. A ruffian with the soul of a poet who's just captured the soul of a poet. He said, I watched that DVD the other night. You know the one. The never-ending story. But I'm thinking of suing the film company because it was only on for 118 minutes. And another thing, how come the logo for Universal Pictures is just a planet Earth? And how come the Three Musketeers are called the Three Musketeers when there's 4 of them and they don't use muskets? I smile and laugh. I want him to know that I'm, not necessarily heterosexually configured, but I don't want to go too over the top. You're so perfect, Mr. Juicy. Perfect, perfect, Mr. Juicy. Perfect nose and perfect limbs, perfect eyebrows, perfect skin. Perfect, perfect, Mr. Juicy. I want to be with you, see? You're so perfect, Mr. Juicy. Such a cutie, masculine beauty. You're so perfect, Mr. Juicy. How we laugh, random chance, births and deaths and circumstance, this endless dance of evolution, Mr. Juicy. I want to be with you, see? Mr. Juicy tells me about his mother. She works at an old folks' home, he says, in the kitchen. They have to perform miracles. They're given 1 chicken and told to feed 30 residents with it, reses as those in the business call them. If someone was not expected to live beyond the next evening, then their last meal would be rice pudding. Oh, the solemn walk of death, carrying a solitary rice pudding from the kitchen through the dining room, and all the reses wondering who it was going to be presented with. Oh, poor Ethel. Ethel looks down sadly at her rice pudding. Her whole life has led to this.
This is another call for Mr. Mozzarella. That's Mr. Mozzarella. Please make yourself known to the Air Italy officials. The manager is waiting to hear from you. The head honcho. The big cheese.
I like your body-hugging white t-shirt, I say to him. Thanks, he replied. Very fashionable, I continue. I'd wear one too, but, there's certain bodies that don't look good hugged. I'd give you a cuddle, if you asked nicely, he said. Oh, my God. But like an idiot, I say nothing, and then when I do, I change the subject. At school we had some weird fashions, I say. It was trendy in year 8 to have a tin of mackerel fillets in your shirt pocket. You were nobody unless you had a tin of mackerel fillets in your shirt pocket. And the teachers would always confiscate them. They always looked so healthy. Our teachers must have been all that omega-3. And the poor kids, bless them, they come in with these Tesco's own brand mackerel fillets. Am I rambling? I'd give you a cuddle if you asked nicely. That's what he said. Or did I imagine it? I'm rambling. He says, my best friend is an astronomer. He's been tracking a supermassive black hole these last few years, using mathematics and pure science to work out its behaviour. He's calculated that a star 15 times the size of the sun is heading straight towards it. Can you imagine this supermassive black hole and this gigantic star? So I said to him, what's going to happen to the star when it gets to the supermassive black hole? And he said, oh, it'll just turn a slightly different shade of red. If the ultimate state of the universe is chaos, I tell him, then that makes me feel better about the cupboard under the stairs. I'd give you a cuddle if you asked nicely. I say to him, I'm really worried that one day I'll slice a loaf of bread and accidentally split the atom.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again we apologise for the delay at gates 6A and 6B. The operating difficulties are ongoing.
Mr. Juicy smiles, leans back his head and closes his eyes. The sun comes out and lightly caresses his face. He looks so pure, unblemished by life, unworried by the immediate, unhurried, unsullied, unruffled, unfazed by the obvious, unmoved by the oblivious, unabashed, unapologetic, unholy, unmasked by circumstance, undressed by my imagination, untainted, unfettered, unforgettable, pure. He's so pure, he's so pure, he's so very, very pure, and I want to see much more of this man who is so pure. He's so cute, such a brute, life with him would be a hoot, and I'm sure that I would suit being with someone so cute. He's a dream, such a dream, he's the best I've ever seen. We'd be really quite obscene, if you know just what I mean. Pure as a summer rose, ensconced in morning dew, pure as the morning air after a thunderstorm's been through, pure as linen sheets which are totally brand new, pure as a particularly pious kangaroo. He's so lush, really lush, I bet I could make him blush. Now he's turned my heart to slush. This is more than just a crush, probably. Work of art, got my heart, I bet he doesn't even fart. And if he did, his friends remark, say, did it just get purer in here? He's so pure, he's so pure, he's so very, very pure, and I want to see much more of this man who is so pure.
Mr. Mozzarella, are you there? Mr. Mozzarella? Mr. Mozzarella?
Where am I? You fell asleep, Mr. Juicy said. Great, that means I can now tell people I've slept with him. What's the latest? They've stretchered the driver away. Now they're trying to move the fuel transporter. Some fuel has spilled out and they're trying to mop it up. I tell him that just before my mother was born, the cleaner came in the room, wrung the mop out the window of the hospital and the head fell off. How's that for an omen? What right has he got to be so gorgeous? What has he ever done to deserve it? Why not me? Why not everyone who's gazed in the mirror, felt naught inside but pale horror, wanted to change the world, wanted to be loved? I'm attracted to him so much that I almost hate him. With his witty conversation and his affected nonchalance, he chats to me not that he enjoys the fact of my existence or that he wishes to impress me, but merely because it is so easy for him. I mean nothing to him. I'm a momentary distraction. He's got a nice arse. In half an hour's time, he'll forget I ever existed. In half an hour, I'll be thinking of lost opportunities.
Lost opportunities. Hold on to him. Memorise his face. Memorise his face because you'll forget it quickly. Massive disappointment. This is the final call for crushing disappointment.
Can you imagine what it would be like? I mean, the pressure to be constantly amusing. Me and him together forever. Going through each day looking for anecdotes. Something happens and you think, oh good, some new material. I can't wait to tell. Jesus Christ, crikey, don't even know his name.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience.
Comes the voice of doom signalling the end of a romance.
We're about to begin boarding flights 7633 to Norwich and flight 133 to Exeter at gate 6A and 6B.
Where the future will dissolve and crumble like an overcooked meringue.
Please have your passport and boarding card ready for inspection.
That's us, he says. We're on different planes, I point out. I know, he says. 2 parallel queues start to form at gate 6A and 6B. He gathers his belongings. It's been nice talking to you, I tell him. Yeah, he says. Yeah. 2 queues in tandem, shuffling forwards, and I feel sick inside, incapable of telling him, and stunted by social constrictions that stand in the way of us and a lifetime together. But I'd hate it. 2 queues, shuffling forwards. Is it not better, I tell myself, to let him be, to let him go, to preserve it as the most perfect romance of all, a love so deep that none was ever shared? 2 queues, shuffling forwards. He's there out the corner of my eye and I'll never see him again. To know more now would spoil it forever. I don't even know his name. 2 queues, shuffling forwards. The skies await and with them all is gone. Bye, he says, smiling. His queue is moving faster. I'm momentarily distracted by a kerfuffle ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Mozzarella, the attendant says. This isn't your flight. This is Exeter, Mr. Mozzarella. You're going to the Po Valley, aren't you? No, this is Exeter. You need another desk. Anyway, it holds up the queue. I decide to look as amorous and as tempting as I can, as sexual and as handsome and as manly as I can, which would be really quite easy for someone so masculine and trim as me, but it doesn't work, so I try to look casual and nonchalant and only succeed in tripping over someone's suitcase. And as I'm picking myself up from the suitcase, I step on the base of a security notice which whips up and whacks me in the groin, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters now except for at least some kind of recognition, some kind of look, some kind of physical proximity of the most base kind, almost jumping up and down now in the queue, but he's gone, he's gone, he's gone, he's gone. And the rather annoyed lady next to me points out that I'm standing on her packet of hobnobs. He's gone. Mr. Juicy has gone through the gate and off to his plane, and things will never be the same. It takes an age to sort out Mr. Mozzarella. I trudge across the lonely, wind-swept apron, giddy on more than just aviation fuel. Up the steps of our Exeter-bound plane, I stop and pause briefly, looking back at the terminal building, hoping he might be there, waving or even running across the tarmac towards me, but he isn't. He meant so much, and I meant nothing to him. The wind ruffles my hair. How transitory this life we live with its fleeting moments. I'll never find anyone else like him. There were nights when I was so lonely. It seemed the dark itself were a million fingers all pointing away from me. My existence so baseless as to be hardly worth a breath, each moment a death. I will survive this. As long before I found my own solidity, that the love I had inside of me I should share, should still be there. How many others would disappear? Chance encounters and momentary infatuations, squandered beauty and sheer miscalculations, an immobility deep set within that I should live to love, rather than love itself, and forever remain hopelessly lonely.
He only wanted to pass the time. Within a few minutes, he would have completely forgotten all about you. You did the right thing. Yeah.
You know what? I've been through tougher than this, and I've always survived. Just poured myself a martini and come out tops. Sometimes life offers you a bucket of kippers when all you want is a squid. What's the point in fretting? Love will come soon enough. So don't you worry about me. I'm doing just fine.
Well, thank you very much. That was called Mr. Juicy. And this show tonight has been called Juicy. And, you know, in spite of all of this, Mark's favourite poem of mine is Plop, Plop, Plop. As I say...
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for... Robert Garnham. Thank you so much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, and listening to Robert Garnham's Juicy. What a talent. You can find out more about Robert and his poetry at professorofwhimsy.com. Please do that. And you can also search for him out on all the social media platforms, so do check him out. Now, tonight, as all of our shows at Guildford Fringe Online, it's free to watch, but we do implore you and beg you to donate a ticket price. All the money gets split between the acts and the theatre company, just helping to keep the arts alive. So when we come out of this, we can continue to provide more and more shows for you to enjoy. If you can donate something, it means we can continue to do these online shows as well. So that's about it. So thank you so much for Robert. You can continue to share this post. It will be live on our Facebook page now. So share it with other people that may be interested. But most importantly, please do look after yourselves and do keep the arts alive. One more time for Robert Garnham. Thank you so much. See you next time. All the best.